All right, welcome, ladies and gentlemen. It's like, so today we're gonna be talking about. Today we're gonna be talking about this little mic. Let me see if I can pull it down. Okay, so today we're gonna be talking about living under $300 a month, because that's basically what I'm doing now. I'm not making a lot of money because I only work maybe 1 to 2 hours a day max, and then weekends I don't really do anything else besides working on my own projects. And you might have seen the title and you're like, all right, how the fuck is this guy living for so cheap? Like, that's not possible. You can't do that. You're probably thinking like, oh, you probably need at least $1,000 to live on your own and live a comfortable life. But let me just tell you that, yeah, I used to think the same way. I used to think that I need all of this money to be happy and to survive and to buy things, but you really don't. You just need to learn how to manage your money. That's the most important thing. Because if you're not managing your money well, then you're going to be spending on pointless shit, and you're going to be paying for things that you shouldn't be paying for things that are just way out of line, like they're way too expensive. So I used to think the same way. um, you know um, I used to think the same way because my expenses were covered by my mother, and I didn't really think about money at that time. So that was like when I was under the age of 17, because I think 17 I moved out. I have this timeline, but I don't, not gonna go look at it now. But yeah, my mom, she paid for everything, she bought me food, she paid for rent, so I wasn't really thinking about money. And then I started to rent things on my own, and I realized, like, oh my god, things are really expensive. How am I supposed to cover all of these payments? Had the phone bill, had the rent, had the car insurance, had to buy groceries for myself, had to pay for gas, and any other like miscellaneous things that added on to my expenses. But over time, I studied money management, and I started to cut down my expenses, and now I'm down to 300 a month, and I'm living in the center of a really beautiful city in Eastern Europe. That's another thing. I'm living in Eastern Europe, so it's really cheap here. But I'm living in the center, and I'm only spending like under 300 for basic survival needs. I'm not including other stuff, just basic survival needs. But I'll get into that probably. So why am I doing this? Why am I living so cheap? The thing is, I could probably work more hours and I could make more money, but the reason why I'm living on a budget is because I don't want to work. I don't want to spend my time working for someone else. I want to just work on my own projects like this and other like side businesses that I might be doing. Because every time you dedicate or you put your time into someone else's work, you make their lives better and you make their companies grow, but you're forgetting about your own companies and you're forgetting about your own self. So if you're working at McDonald's, or if you're working at a restaurant, or if you're working for someone, like, it's a great learning experience. But if you're doing that forever and you're spending like 7 hours a day doing that, then a lot of that time, it's wasted, because you don't really need to work that much if you learn how to manage your money. And the reason why I'm doing it is because I want to have the freedom of time to work on my own projects, and I don't want to be working for someone else just so I can make some extra money, so I can maybe buy some extra things. I rather cut down my expenses and free up more of my time. So that's my reason. Alright, so the thing is, other people spend way too much money, right? Other people, what I've seen is, they get a nice apartment, they get a nice car, they get a nice insurance, um, they buy themselves nice electronics, they buy themselves nice food, and every month they're spending a shit ton of money. And to compensate for all of those expenses, they have to put in those hours at work so that they can pay off all the things that they're buying. And I think that's crazy, man. That's fucking crazy, because people don't need to do that. You don't need nice like things for now. Later on, yes, you can have nice things, but for right now, you can sacrifice a few things, and then so that way later in the future, you're free and you have those nice things. So it's like the best of both worlds. And like I said, my lifestyle is really enjoyable. I'm living under $300 a month. I'm still eating really good food because I cook for myself. So I'm living in the center of a beautiful city where there's culture, a lot of good history. But I mean, for right now, it kind of sucks because of the virus, right? So I have a nice warm room. I have a bed. I have, what else? I have a bathroom, have hot water, so my life, I'm not living on the street. I'm living in a nice, cozy room where I'm saving a lot of money and I'm close to everything. Literally, if I go outside, there's a grocery store like 5-minute walk. There's actually like 1, 2, 3, 4 grocery stores that I know that are a 5-minute walk from where I live. And that's kind of the cool thing about living in Eastern Europe. So that was the first thing that I had to do. I had to move to a cheap country, right? And when I was living in Chicago, I was paying a lot of money for things, for my rent, for my car, for my bills. And I realized that in the US, it would probably be really hard to save money or invest or do anything. And I thought Eastern Europe would probably be better for living because it's a lot cheaper. And I mean, that wasn't the main reason why I left to Europe, because I am a Polish citizen, so I could come here and live here if I want to. And I am doing that now. But I mean, that wasn't the main reason why I left. Not to save money, but that kind of came as I started to live here. I realized that over here it's actually really, really cheap. So I decided to settle down here in Poland because rent is very inexpensive, food is very inexpensive. As long as you're making a little bit of money, you could survive and you could have a really nice life. So over here you probably pay a third of the price for everything. And everything is really close by, so you can walk everywhere. You don't need a car. You can use the public transport system, which, for a month, I think it costs like a 30 USD a month, and you can get a bus ticket that you could use monthly. Unlike in the US, where in the US you have to pay at least 100 USD for a bus or a train ticket, a monthly one. So it's crazy, right? But again, it equals out with the wages. So people over here, they don't get paid as much. So if you were to come here, you just got to make sure that you are working for an employer that's paying you like a US salary or Australian salary or a English salary, because you're probably not going to make a lot of money if you're trying to come here and work here. But you could still survive. It's pretty good here. People do make decent money. I think the hourly wage is like 6 or 7 US dollars, or 5 to 6 euros an hour. And you might be saying like, oh, well, I can't go to Eastern Europe. I don't have a European passport. I know a lot of people that come here and live in Poland, and they just get a visa and they can get their visa extended. And they have the same rights as, the people who are born here. As long as you have residency, you're fine. But again, that's something that you have to go through yourself, and you have to um, contact someone who's already done that. So maybe they can help you out. I can't, because again, I have a European passport. So for me, I don't have to do any of that. So I don't have experience with that. So how much am I paying for rent? For rent, I'm paying 180 US dollars, and I'm renting a small room. But the room is in the center of the city. And again, walking distance to everything. I got cafes, I got restaurants, I got grocery stores. This is where most of the tourists come, so I can go out, socialize with people, meet people. And it's a really good location. There's a university, like a 10-minute walk from here. So a lot of students here. And I found this place on Airbnb. I actually did a lot of research before coming to Krakow to find a really cheap place in the center. I looked on many different sites like oxl.pl. I looked on Facebook Marketplace. I contacted some groups. And I looked on Airbnb, and eventually my Airbnb host gave me like a monthly deal. And the good thing about the monthly deal is you don't need any contracts. You just give them money up front, and you pay monthly, so you don't need to sign anything. And if I want to leave, like at the end of the month, I can do that. I can move to another place, but I think I'm gonna be staying here. So 180 for rent. And then for groceries, I cook most of my food. Sometimes, maybe I grab a snack or a coffee, but I'm not gonna include that. I'm only including like the survival things. So cooking food, it costs me about $25 a week for 3 decent sized meals. I'm mostly vegetarian. Sometimes I eat some tuna and eggs, but the most I'll spend on groceries is probably $30 a week. The most, but usually, I don't buy fancy things, so it's usually under 25 USD when I'm really staying disciplined and I'm cooking for myself every day. And again, I get 3 meals a day, and the base is usually rice, potatoes, or buckwheat. And then I make like a stew with vegetables. So I buy a bunch of vegetables, and I buy tomato sauce, and I buy curry spices, and I just put it all together. I let it sit for like an hour, and it creates this nice thick stew, or it's called a masala. I think that's how the Indian name for it is. And it's basically vegetables, tomato sauce, and you got curry powder, and it's really delicious. And you just pour that over the rice, and you're getting all the necessary vitamins. For proteins, I usually buy chickpeas or beans, and I also put it in the stew after it's cooked, and then I'm getting all my proteins from that. And as a vegetarian, I need like some special vitamins like B12 and B6. So I get that from tuna and eggs. So I might have an egg in the morning or an egg at night, or I might have a can of tuna in the afternoon. So again, I just mix it up. And I also get like special milks that have those vitamins in them. So I get oat milk or almond milk or rice milk, and they have the vitamins already added. So I don't really need to eat meat. And that saves me a lot of money, because meat costs a lot of money. So yeah, I cook twice a week, usually Monday and Wednesday. Now I haven't really been so disciplined with my cooking, so I usually just cook, like whatever I have left, because I haven't bought groceries yet, and it's already Wednesday, so I'm supposed to go today, so I might go after this video and buy the bulk and then cook for the next 3 days. And yeah, I cook twice a week, and then I just store the food in the fridge, and then when I need to eat, I take it out, just heat it up a little bit, make some rice, and then I got the meal. And it's 3 meals a day, and I'm doing pretty good with weight. I've actually gotten bigger. I haven't weighed myself, but I can see the difference in my weight and how I feel. I feel really good when I eat like this, because it's vegetarian based, and yeah, it's healthy. It's really, really healthy. I have more energy than I've ever had uh, before quitting meat, right? So it's crazy. Okay, so why is this important? Why is it important to live, or why is it important to manage your money and live cheap? So if you're someone who's young, who's just getting out there in the world, who's renting his own place, or maybe if you're some older guy that's been, spending money on bullshit, you need to reconsider things, and you need to understand that there's a future that lies ahead of you. And if you're not investing your money into your future, if you're not setting yourself up for the future, you're always going to be doing the things that you're doing. And then when you're 40 and 50, 60, you're going to end up in the same place that you are in now. And you haven't invested any money, you haven't built a business, you never had any free time to actually do that, and now you're still in the same place. And it's kind of really upsetting. It's really sad actually to be in that place when you're older. So it's good to set yourself up early on. Just stop going after the pleasures and just focus on the long-term outcome. You can sacrifice a few things right now, so that way you can manage your money, save your money, and then invest that money either into a business if you have the time to work on a business, or if you have maybe the passion to work on a business, or you can invest that money into stocks, invest that money into like other ideas that you might have. I'm not really big on investing yet, but I am getting into it, and I hear it's a really, really good thing. But right now, the money that I invest is usually into my own business. So doing this, and I have another thing which I'm not going to talk about now. And also this teaches you how to manage money, because if you're living really cheap, you have to be aware of where your money is going. So you start to watch your money, and what happens when you start to watch your money, you start to make more of it, because you're more aware of where it's going, and you stop spending on stupid shit that you don't need, and you start putting more away, and you start investing more, and you start thinking long term instead of thinking about now. So yeah, just again, I want to get this idea in your head that living cheap doesn't mean that your life is gonna be void of pleasures, because you still have a lot of pleasures when you're living cheap. And you can actually, when you're living cheap, those pleasures, you start to appreciate them more, because you start to appreciate the little things. You start to appreciate that that coffee that you can have sometimes, or you appreciate that that extra chocolate that you can buy yourself, because you have just enough money, and you stop taking in so many pleasures, and that that kind of makes you appreciate the little pleasures, if you know what I mean. Because for example, if you have a lot of money and you're always buying yourself fancy thing, and you're always being pleasured by things, then I guess the level of the pleasure always needs to be a little bit higher, because you're getting that you're always getting that stimuli. But when you stop getting those pleasures, you cut off that stimuli, and you only get it sometimes, and then that pleasure of it becomes a bit more fuller, a bit more enjoyable, right? Because you're not getting it as much. So some questions that I have for you, and these are really important to think about. Are you spending too much money on unnecessary shit? So write this down, and write down what you're spending your money on. For example, things like phone bill. Can you cut down your phone bill? Can you get a cheaper phone bill? Do you really need that unlimited data package? Because I have 1 gig. I most of the time use Wi-Fi. Do you need that car? If you're living in the US, probably, but maybe you can take public transportation. Maybe you can get a monthly ticket. Think about that. How much money are you spending on food? Can you cut down your food expenses? Can you maybe stop going out as much? Stop going out on the weekends, and or set a limit for how much you're spending on the weekends when you're going out with friends. So yeah, what expenses can you cut down? And when you cut down your expenses, can you cut down your working hours? So that way now you have more free time to invest into your own business. Can you do that? Is it possible? Can you work out with your employer that you want to work less? Maybe it can be done, and then you can invest that time into your own projects, into your own business. And then what type of lifestyle do you want to live? Do you want to work, spend, and repeat, or do you want to just sacrifice a little bit now, invest, and then do what you want later in the future? And this is so important for everyone listening, because if you don't sacrifice now, then in the future you're still going to be stuck in the same position. Just make those little sacrifices if you can. Invest your money, and then in the future you have something beautiful that has grown. It's like a beautiful tree, and then you can just pick the fruits and eat them. So again, this is really important. It's really important to implement. I know that a lot of people just watch videos and or listen to them and they okay, next video. But actually try to implement this stuff. Try to do it, because it's so important. A lot of people watch videos and they just completely ignore like the practical things, or actually implementing the material that's taught, and you're just gonna keep on going from video to video. So don't be one of those people, and actually write down these questions, answer these questions, and maybe you can actually do something today to lower your costs, to lower your expenses. You can actually maybe even put away your money if you want to. And maybe I'm going to be teaching some money management tricks, because I know some. But some of the books that I can recommend that you start reading today is Millionaire's Mind by T. Harv Eker. Such a good book about money management, mindset between the rich and the poor, and investing and stuff like that. And the Rich Dad and Poor Dad teaches you about the two different type of mentalities of the rich and the poor. And yeah, definitely get started today. Get one of those books and start reading them. And if you have any questions, message me below. And yeah, if you actually you're doing something, if you're going to start, then comment below that you're going to implement this, or comment below some of the answers to the questions, because you really have to start doing this for it to work. You can't just listen to it and then, oh yeah, I'll do it later. That's not going to work. So that's all I have for you today. If you want to read the full article, you can read it below. The link is below. And yeah, thank you for watching. See you later.